Hi guys, and welcome once again to Curated Logic, where we try and up your brain game. Now, there are a lot of puzzle games out there. I mean, there are heaps. And trying to choose which ones to review can be difficult, as I want to enjoy my experience as much as I can when playing, but synopses I read and other reviews don't really always align with the gaming experience I end up having. So, like many of you, I am sure, I tend to go off best of lists and new releases lists to see what has made the most well-rounded impression with the most people or is highly anticipated by a lot of people. In searching these types of lists at some point last year, I repeatedly came across mention of the Nintendo Switch game Snipperclips. Cut it out together. Sounds pretty cute. Both a single-player and multiplayer puzzle game, many comments and opinions I discovered on Snipperclips loved this game for its simple premise and clean execution, points with which I agree. However, even though there is a lot to love about this game, and the multiplayer aspects can be genuinely fun, I found that Snipperclips did not provide enough variety and dynamism within gameplay for me not to get bored relatively quickly, both when playing by myself and when playing with another. As alluded to in the intro, the premise of Snipperclips is simple. You alone, or in a partnership of 2, 3, or 4, control a pair or pairs of paper-like entities, each of whom can use their bodies to snip off any pieces of one of the other entities that their body overlaps with. Using this snipping mechanic to create each entity into different shapes, the two must work together to complete a task that will complete the current level. Each level is contained purely within one screen, and everything you need to figure out what you need to do in each level is presented right in front of you. The main portion of the game, and the one I concentrated on the most, is made up of 45 cooperative levels, with tasks ranging from having to get a ball through a hoop, to having to collect and fill a container with liquid, to what appears to be the classic puzzle, having to cut out and create particular shapes with all the characters. Initially playing by myself, I controlled 2 of the entities, switching between them as I needed, and completed all 45 levels. What struck me when playing was how much it felt like one of those games you might play in primary school that is aimed to teach you about shapes and mechanics. Of course, Snipperclips is a lot more advanced in design than the educational games I used to play at school, but the aim and the way of thinking reminded me remarkably of the same thing. This feeling didn't really enthrall me. It wasn't that there wasn't a couple of hard levels or that levels required no thinking, but overall, most levels just felt like you knew more or less what you had to do, and all you needed to do was a little bit of trial and error in order to actually do it. This feeling meant that I never really got any of those exciting aha moments that I speak so frequently of in these reviews, and that I always long for in puzzle games. I basically knew what I was going to do to finish each level and how I was going to do it. It just ended up being little tweaks here and there and made playing through the whole thing a little laborious in the end. The other aspect of the game I found didn't help keep my interest when playing was that there was no overarching task or mission to the game. Each level didn't add up to anything specific and didn't add anything to the game apart from completing that level. Of course, like all games, you had to complete some levels or a certain amount of levels in order to be given access to some other levels. But when the levels you were given access to are just basically more of the same, it doesn't really feel like some grand accomplishment. There were definitely some levels though that I really did enjoy. The space level where you had to align the planets, although simple enough, sparked my imagination and it felt different from much of the other levels I had played before it. And one of the few filling the container levels, which I spoke of earlier, was straightforward but used an entity in a way that made me want more levels that utilised the characters in a similarly mechanical way. It just sparked something creative in my brain that the other levels hadn't, and I wanted more of that. But that didn't really ever come. I also, for the most part, found the controls easy to use. The only major problem I found was that because when playing one player you have to press a button to swap between characters, I would often accidentally press the wrong button and use the wrong character to snip something, but then could not undo my erroneous action without starting the entire level again. Given how much the game relies on pressing the different buttons a lot, this type of error I expect would happen to many players when they're playing by themselves, and an undo button, just to be able to undo the last action, would be really helpful. Even in making this review, I couldn't help but feel it is such an important component of the game that I must have missed it while playing, but not as far as I can tell. Having finished the single player portion of the game, I wanted to give multiplayer a go because it seems that it was quite obvious the game was built more for multiplayer play. Multiplayer can be played across all three subsections of the game, being able to complete the single player portion cooperatively with a partner, playing other, more harder cooperative levels with 4 characters split between 2 to 4 players, or playing one of the 3 competitive mini-games with, again, 2 to 4 players. For all the cooperative portions of Snipperclips, the fun that comes with interacting with others and the simultaneous feelings of frustration and yet camaraderie that come with working with a friend or friends to achieve a joint gaming goal are all apparent. When playing one character each, it is nice not to have to swap between characters, and this makes the smoothness of playing greater and the finishing of levels somehow more elegant. But the repetitiveness of levels and the general feeling of puzzle anticlimax, I'll call it, still carries on through and eventually still led to boredom. I think that although I did not test it out like this, if I were playing with someone in primary school or just that sort of age group, prompting them to try and come up with solutions to each puzzle may have made me enjoy it more. Watching them work through things and how their mind works, I think I would have got more joy in. The complexity of each puzzle would have increased, as it were, as I would have been experiencing it through the child's rationale, and helping them achieve an aha moment would have brought the satisfaction with completing levels that I so strongly wanted to feel myself. The competitive multiplayer games, on the other hand, were probably where I found the most joy within the game. All 3 games, playing basketball against one another, trying to snip your opponent so they are nothing, and the Snipperclips version of air hockey brought me that extra mission I wanted: defeat the other player. I'm always going to be a sucker for competition. Whether I win or lose, I just like to compete, and competing in these games was fun. It is a shame there were only 3 of them, and a shame there wasn't more to how you played them, like an overarching competition that combined you having to play all the games in a tournament or something like that. Of course, you could just organise that aspect yourself, but I always feel not doing more with mini games like this in any game is a wasted opportunity. For my final score, I think when playing by myself, I'd give Snipperclips a 6 out of 10. but when playing with others, probably a 7 out of 10. So overall, I give Snipperclips, Cut It Out Together, a 6.5 out of 10. There are real positives about this game, and some people will really enjoy it. But the overwhelming feeling I walked away with every time I stopped playing was boredom. So I have to score it accordingly. I hope you found that review helpful. If you have played Snipperclips and want to, please leave a short review in the comments below. I know there are some people out there that love this game, so feel free to disagree with my assessment on it as much as you like. And as always, if there are any games you want me to review, do a walkthrough of, or just have really loved playing, please let me know in the comments as well. I have found that my favourite games have always come from speaking to people I know, or you guys, so the more recommendations, the better. Okay, that is it for today. If you've enjoyed this, feel free to have a look at any of the other reviews I have done, and if you love puzzles, also make sure to check out my recently released web-based logic game, The Great Logic Maze. A link to my recent intro video to The Great Logic Maze is in the description below. And as always, if you want to continue to up your brain game, please check out any of the Curated Logic socials listed here and in the description below. I hope wherever you are in the world, you are keeping safe and happy. Until next time, keep upping your brain game and have fun. See ya.
Thank you.